Either we are there or not, ITSP Magazine still gets the best stories. There are plenty of conferences and all sorts of events that spark our curiosity and allow us to start conversations with some of the world's brightest minds. In person or virtually, we sit down with them at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society. Together, we discover what the synergy of these three elements means for the future of humanity. Knowledge is power, now more than ever. CrowdSec, the collaborative and open source cybersecurity solution. Analyze behaviors, respond to attacks, and share signals across the community for free. Let's make the internet safer together. Learn more at crowdsec.net.
EdgeScan offers continuous vulnerability intelligence as a service, accurately identifying vulnerabilities and exposures across the full stack. All threats are verified by cybersecurity experts, providing exploitable risk and remediation guidance, virtually false positive free. Learn more at edgescan.com.
Pantera, the leader in automation security validation, allows organizations to continuously test the integrity of all cybersecurity layers by emulating real-world attacks at scale to pinpoint the exploitable vulnerabilities and prioritize remediation towards business impact. Learn more at www.pantera.io.
Marco.
Sean.
It's the trifecta. The
What's
third time's a charm. I don't know. What?
1.0, 2.0, 3.0.
Maybe we'll get it right on the 3.0.
Yeah,
what is right? And what is 3? Is it an increment on top, or is it a replacement of? Or
I don't know. More is always better, is it? I don't know.
Yes, just add to it. Just add more. Just build on top of it. I don't. And hopefully our guest can enlighten us a bit. I'm sure he can. I think it's more than just adding to the current. I think there's a whole new wave of stuff coming that's going to make our lives more fun and exciting in many ways.
I like to be silly, but this is not a quantity. This is a quality. It's a different approach that involved a lot of things that we're not into. So you have to define it, give it another number, everybody understand. But the people that will understand are going to be the people that are in this industry, in the cybersecurity space. But I think it's also important, even if we do talk about a chat on the road to Black Hat and everything else that happened in Las Vegas in not too long from now, we want people to understand, even if they are in the business world. So a little introduction about what this 3.0 that we're blobbing about right now it is. So I think it's time to stop blobbing, Sean, and introduce our guest that he really knows what we're talking about here.
Absolutely. And our guest is a speaker at Black Hat 2022, the 25th anniversary of Black Hat. And there's a Chats on the Road. And Nathan is joining us today. Nathan, thanks for being part of the show.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. And you have a session. It's called From a Hackathon to Hacked, Web3 Security
Correct.
Journey. And Web3 has been very prominent in many areas, in the news, in technology, in society, in art, all over the place, right? Currency, certainly. Big profiles on social media are all over this as well. And there's a big security element to it. Obviously, we're very focused on that. But we're going to get into all of that, and we're going to talk about your session and what you're sharing with folks at Black Hat. Before we do that, let's hear about who Nathan is. Maybe a quick word about your journey to your current role, what you're up to, and perhaps why this topic.
Sure. So a little bit about me. My name is Nathan Hamiel. I'm Senior Director of Research at Kedelsky Security. So I lead the fundamental and applied research team. And kind of our goal is to look at new and emerging technologies and create, new products and new services to kind of align with the future, where things are headed. About 4.5 years ago, when I joined the company, a large part of the team were cryptographers, which was a little bit new for me. I came from more of a traditional security background. And, they were working on very cool technologies around like threshold cryptography and zero knowledge proofs and things like that. So I had a very quick introduction to those things. I had attacked, crypto implementations in my past, but nothing even close to what the current team was doing. So that's where I started getting more involved in cryptography. The company started standing up a blockchain focused practice. And what we were doing was using our cryptography knowledge to kind of augment our skills and talent on that side of the house. So it was a really nice place to be as somebody who leads a research team, to be able to have visibility and conversations with customers, to be able to see new problems that were starting to present themselves. It was very interesting. Like it's a little bit different than my background. I've, been part of the Black Hat Review Board for over a decade, and I lead the AI, machine learning, and data science track. So that is, there are some unique intersections there between, Web3 and machine learning that people are trying to put together. So I think what's important for security professionals to understand is that there seems to be a lot of hatred around this space. But I think, being a bit more neutral, like I am very technology neutral. You have a hard time, trying to point out a technology that I hate. I feel like as security professionals, we should be, enabling innovation instead of standing in the way and telling people they shouldn't be doing things.
It's a really good point.
Nice fresh approach. I like that.
I love that. And you kind of talked about an intersection of all different elements that I think you sprinkle into your presenting your background, presenting the new company you start working with, and then even the artificial intelligence. So for people out there that are more on the business line than in the security professional line, how would you define the Web3, and what is the biggest, let's say, difference, or why should make things better?
Sure, and to even make things more confusing, apparently there's a Web 5 now. I don't know. So they skipped 4.
Let's not go there yet.
Yeah. So that's very
prime numbers only. What's going on?
Yeah. So the Web3 is being touted as the next version of the internet, where everybody owns their own data, and it kind of opens up new worlds. It's powered by blockchain technology, and we kind of have this utopian vision of the way the world works. There are lots of promises being touted in the Web3 space. I mean, we've yet to realize some of those. I think there are some fundamental hurdles to overcome for average users to be able to use the technology. I mean, we've created environments in the past that allow users to recover from a failure. So if your credit card gets stolen, you can call somebody and they reverse the charges. If you forget your password, you can call somebody and your password gets reset. But in this space, if you get scammed and you lose all your money, you don't really have a recourse. Like you can't get your money back. And in the space, the community basically says, well, that's terrible, but it's just how the system works. So I think people would be, people aren't really tolerant of that currently. And I think that that's an active area where there's some investments being made, because, this doesn't work without onboarding a lot of people. Nobody wants to be on the social network with 5 people. People want to be on the social network with 1 billion people. People don't want to shop at a store with only 3 things. They want to shop at a store with thousands of things. I mean, these are things that we know from the past. And in order to kind of open open these projects up to a larger audience, there are some technical challenges to be addressed. And I think this is a good. So people may look at this and hear about the scams and the millions and millions and millions of dollars being, stolen, and wonder why anybody would want to use this. I think what we tend to forget is that what we're really seeing are a series of technology experiments playing out in public. I mean, that is not something we're used to seeing. Usually, if you're ideating a new piece of intellectual property, you kind of have a stealth mode, you onboard a small amount of users, you get feedback, you do iteration, and then you plan for like a formal launch. Literally, you can go from participating at a hackathon to being pushed into production, and now you're left defending yourself against a nation state because, nation states have gotten into the game and are, going to attack, your systems. Or I shouldn't say your systems, although that could be the case. We saw that with the Ronin validators attack, but they're going to attack your project. And since everything is wide open, it's right out there in front of everybody. It's obviously a ripe target for people to go after.
So I have a gazillion technical questions that I'll hold on for the moment, but let's stick with the line of business and what changes for an organization that says, I want to be part of this? Why would they want to be part of it? What changes for them? Do they have to build their applications differently? Does the user experience change for them, for their customers? Is it simply they just want to offer NFTs or accept cryptocurrency? What's in it for a business to be part of Web3?
Sure. So I think the biggest thing that's in it for a business is, a monetary aspect. I mean, businesses go where the people are, and businesses, they tend to modify their business according to user demand. So it could be as simple as you sell a bunch of products and a bunch of your users want to be able to buy your products with a particular cryptocurrency of their choice. And that's a pretty simple thing to do. Sometimes, like we at Kudelski Security, we allow people, some of these projects, to pay in certain cryptocurrencies instead of fiat. So it's possible to do that through enablement. I think what really changes on the development side of the house, like say you wanted to re-architect something like a metaverse project that was on a Web3 platform. What really changes is the fact that you are immediately entering a high-risk environment. So you need to be sure that the code you're pushing into production doesn't have any issues with it that would allow an attacker to kind of drain your pool of funds. There's no risk mitigation to losing all your money. Web3 developers, don't have the luxury most times anyway of failing gracefully. Attacks can happen quickly and funds get drained very fast if you don't have additional protections in place and you haven't ideated through the threats that could happen to your application. So I would say that when a company is thinking about entering the Web3 space, they need to understand that the stakes can get significantly higher very quickly.
So I love and I hate the fact that you say it's an experiment, but nevertheless, here, play with it and play with your money. I mean, even cryptocurrency can be kind of scary, as you mentioned here. There are some people with a lot of followers on Twitter and social media that are saying that it's really just a marketing hype and, it's nothing really special. It's just the evolution. At least that's what I heard of, the natural evolution of the Web 2. But what's your take on that? And do you bring that into the presentation?
Sure. I feel like some of these get into philosophical aspects about where we should be going in with the technology and in society. I'm a security professional. I certainly have opinions about things, and I see people, and even myself sometimes, make fun of NFTs. but I jest about certain aspects, but once again, I mean, these are technology experiments. People are trying new things, and that's typically good to have that sort of innovation happening. And you usually find that innovation is iterative. So maybe the first iteration is one thing, and then it turns out to be something else. And the reason that security professionals shouldn't sit on the sidelines for these topics is because technology has an odd way of snapping into place. And it kind of puts us behind. Like, I remember in the early days of the cloud, I would go to a security conference, people would be walking around with, there is no cloud, just someone else's computer shirts on. People would talk about, oh, I'd never put my data in the cloud. And those people today are most likely cloud security professionals. So, right. We sometimes tend to be, behind the curve on this stuff. So I think a bit more, neutrality as far as, the experiments and how it's going to affect, society as a general. We do have some issues in the Web2 space. I mean, we use a lot of free software, and free doesn't always mean free. So we have situations in which we're giving up aspects of our privacy in order to take advantage of certain pieces of functionality. The promise of Web3 is that goes away. Now, there are some monetization aspects of Web3. So as much as I would love it if people had to pay a fee every single time they posted to Twitter, it would really reduce a lot of the noise, make you be much more thoughtful about the opinions that you wanted to express and put out there. I don't think that that's a viable alternative anyway. So I think the future is going to be kind of multidimensional. We're going to have, potentially multiple metaverses. We'll have the free one that Meta puts out and a lot of people are part of, but we may end up with small pockets of other ones that are more focused on certain communities. Like maybe you have the sci-fi metaverse that's on, a particular cryptocurrency or fund, or on a particular blockchain, I should say. So you could end up with certain pockets of solutions, and that does really align with what people want. Like if you want to do that, then you have an opportunity to be involved in that community.
So what, as you're describing this, I'm trying to understand, is this, we touched on it a little earlier, is this a replacement to Web 2, or do you see this kind of attaching itself to things that already exist? Because I like the idea that tremendously fast innovation, tremendously fast failure, hopefully tremendously fast learning, right, to progress this stuff. But if that's all being done at the same time that it's replacing something that's known and solid and trust, or at least understood, right, to some degree, we kind of put our whole society at risk there. So how does this play out in your mind?
Sure. We're definitely headed for multiple things. It's not a replacement for Web 2. I mean, I'm not a futurist, but I can tell you that that's probably not going to happen. And the reason being is because if you think about the architecture of a Web3 application today, there's some significant drawbacks. I mean, if you think about three things that developers care about, speed, scale, and data. Those are three things that blockchain technologies are very bad at. Like you can't store massive amounts of data on a blockchain. It's just not realistic. First of all, it could get very expensive. And so people find ways around that. So instead of storing data on a blockchain, they store a reference and then they use something like IPFS. Same thing with scaling. So we end up seeing like people, the core chain isn't fast enough, so they build their own chain that runs on top of another chain to add, more performance. People want to use their Ethereum on Solana, so they build, cross-chain bridges that allow you to use, for example, platforms. And the interesting aspect here is that although core blockchains have been fairly resilient, where you really see the devastating attacks is quite often on these applications that run on top of the chain and provide some of this extended features and functionality. So it's just something to consider in your design and development process. So I think the future is definitely headed for multiple technologies. It's not going to be a drop-in replacement. I mean, even today, there's a lot of traditional Web 2.0 components in a Web 3 application.
So I feel like knowing what your talk is going to be about, I feel like you already touched a lot of different points about it. But to tease a little bit more so that we can tell people, hey, go listen to Nathan. Who do you expect to participate to your talk? Maybe get the most out of it, and without giving away the the end of the movie, what are the things that you're going to focus on? I understand is learning from the past, and again, I feel like you already dropped a few pointers there, but can you tease us more about the talk?
Sure. Well, being a security conference, I expect it to be made up of mostly security professionals. There may be some developers there who are looking. What I really hope packs the room out are a bunch of haters who don't really care about the technology. That would be great. I know that most people probably wouldn't want that but I feel like, I'm trying to make the point that we should be more neutral, and I'm trying to basically what I'm going to be covering is how we got here, like what are the contributing factors to what we're seeing today? What role do security professionals actually play in the larger grand scheme of things? And what are some things that we could be doing today to start reducing the risk? I mean, overall, that's, mostly the theme. I mean, I want people to realize that these projects aren't enterprises. They're not the traditional, security enterprise we think of. Like, you don't go talk to the CISO of a particular project. It could just be 2 or 3 people who got VC funding, took a boot camp, learned how to program, and now they're pushing code into production at millions of dollars. So it's important you understand where they're coming from. It's also important you understand their mission. Because if you have a misalignment with what they're trying to do and what you're telling them to do, security always loses that conversation. We know this from the past, from traditional software development. So we have to find unique ways to work with them. The other interesting thing is we haven't found all of the vulnerabilities in the Web3 space, which I think is kind of cool. It leaves the door open for a lot of extra research. Yeah, one left. We got one more to find, and once we find that one, we'll be done. Because what we're seeing in the space is a lot of exploitation of like financial protocols. So a team will come up with a new protocol, they'll implement it, and then not understand how it can be gamed. There's a fair amount of new things. There's a delta between traditional application security and the Web3 space, but it's not a monumental delta. Like, there's a lot of traditional security knowledge that we can modify and apply to the space, as long as security professionals start to understand, what different DeFi applications are, what a cross-chain bridge is and how it works, what is an automated market maker, what is, an Oracle provider, and how does consuming an Oracle in your application potentially lead to problems? I mean, these are different things that are kind of new, and you kind of have to understand in order to provide security guidance around that.
A lot to absorb there, and I just think, we often joke that security is the department of no within an enterprise, and what it sounds like is security is trying to be the department of no for society. That's not gonna fly, right? Because this stuff's gonna happen regardless, right? People are gonna build it. People are gonna try it. Some's gonna work. Some's not.
I've never got the no thing. I think it feels good to tell people no, but in the end, people do it anyway. Like, even today, you still have people who are like, no, we don't have any cloud resources. And then you talk to a dev team and it's like, no, we have cloud resources all over the place. Okay. So I think there's a fundamental disconnect here. I think security is changing, whether security professionals change or not. Like, we are entering a future of advanced customization, which means that security really needs to adapt to these new challenges. So every time, new emerging technologies come along, every time a new, method comes along, like we need to learn and adapt. So if we keep doing the same things over and over again, we are going to find that the steps we're taking are less relevant. So that's why I think a new challenge, new technologies are a great way of exercising flexibility and learning how to cover the gap between your current knowledge and what you need to know to enter a new technology.
I don't know if you're hoping to, in addition to the understanding of this space and the role security plays in, I don't know if your goal is to also make a lesson for us or get us to think differently, because it sounds like as a security professional, we need to kind of take a step back and think about where things are headed, our role in helping to let it go there safely versus trying to apply the things we've done for the last 30 years to the new world that's upon us.
Yeah, I would hope that's part of the outcome. Because this isn't, the technology may be new, but the problems aren't new. So I have this thing that I call the emerging technology paradigm. Like every single time a new technology comes along, it thinks it's the exception. So it's like, no, everything that came before isn't applicable. This is a brand new thing. We need all new things. And then you look at it and you're like, well, there's definitely new stuff here that changes, but some of this old stuff still works. Like, you may say you're, a huge Web3 organization and everything has changed, but you still get phished. User security is still technically, not clicking on things and, keeping secrets, things that we know users aren't great at doing. So there's a lot of, traditional things there. And security professionals conversely want to take everything that they've learned and apply it back to the technology. And there's just, it's just about covering, gaps between things we've learned, lessons we've learned in the past, and applying it to a new space. Because emerging technologies in general, you're trading a set of known issues and complexities for a set of unknown issues and complexities. That's why emerging technologies, typically surprise us. Like, if you don't know what a flash loan is, and then all of a sudden somebody uses one to exploit your DeFi project, that's something new. But once you've seen it, you're like, okay, now I know what that looks like, and I know how to be more prepared for those in the future. So, we're still learning the side of the house that's like, hey, these are the unknown issues and complexities we're kind of dealing with.
Yeah, I love this because actually these things are very sociological and psychological and philosophical. So I mean, you're telling this story. I'm like, yeah, learning from the past. Yeah, we're not that good at it as humans, but yeah, maybe. And building on top of what we already have. I mean, I think this is the lesson. Again, it's like marketing is going to tell you that there is this new shiny bright thing that it's going to resolve all the problem. Forget about everything. That's it. And that then humans will teach you that, yeah, you can work on the door, but if you leave the window open, what the hell is the point, right? So I love how you're connecting this and of course connecting the past. Definitely intrigued by listening and watching your presentation. Sean, have you learned something from the past?
Yeah, I'm always learning, and today is no different. And I want to thank Nathan for helping with that for sure. And I'm definitely intrigued to be part of this session. Hopefully, get to listen and hear some of the hate. Hear some of the conversations that come.
I'm inviting people to throw stuff at me or something like that. It's always great.
That's right.
I hope that's not the case.
No, I think a lively conversation will ensue. No question about that. The session is from Hackathon to Hacked, Web3 Security Journey. Nathan Hamiel from Kudelski is leading this at 11:20 local time on the 11th of August. That's the Thursday at Black Hat. So hopefully you'll join Nathan there and some of your colleagues and peers and others in the group. And for those listening, we'll link to that session So you can get access there and register for it. And of course, if there's anything else that Nathan wants to share, resources that would be helpful for people interested in this topic, we'll include those in the link show notes as well. So thanks, Nathan. Marco?
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, it was a pleasure having you, and learn a lot, thought a lot. And as we always say, if we make people think, we're succeeding. We don't necessarily have answers, but what we do have, it's a lot of other chats on the road coming up, speaking with keynotes, presenters, and a lot of action during the Las Vegas week as well, with live streaming and connecting with both DEF CON and Black Hat. So stay tuned, and we'll see you somewhere somewhere
on the road somewhere
with some technology that probably we shouldn't trust anyway, but whatever. That's right. We do it anyway.
Right on. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Nathan.
Thank you.
Pantera, the leader in automation security validation, allows organizations to continuously test the integrity of all cybersecurity layers by emulating real-world attacks at scale to pinpoint the exploitable vulnerabilities and prioritize remediation towards business impact. Learn more at www.pantera.io.
EdgeScan offers continuous vulnerability intelligence as a service, accurately identifying vulnerabilities and exposures across the full stack. All threats are verified by cybersecurity experts, providing exploitable risk and remediation guidance, virtually false positive free. Learn more at edgescan.com.
CrowdSec, the collaborative and open source cybersecurity solution. Analyze behaviors, respond to attacks, and share signals across the community for free. Let's make the internet safer together. Learn more at crowdsec.net. We hope you enjoyed this episode of our on-location conversation. If you learned something new and this podcast made you think, then share itspmagazine.com with your friends, family, and colleagues. If you represent a company and wish to associate your brand with our conversations, sponsor one or more of our podcast channels. We hope you will come back for more stories and follow us on our journey. You can always find us at the intersection of technology, cybersecurity, and society.